It's still recording?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's try it again. Welcome again. My name is Steffen. Hooked by Experience. We already started. So what I wanted to say is your first domain at Adidas is consumer and customer experience. So you're trying to keep customers and consumers hooked by experience. And that's also what this talk is about, how you can create products that keep customers, consumers, users, however you call it, hooked in some way. And it's not all about experience. I think I would say it's more about excitement, because you want to create, especially in the consumer market, it's all about keeping customers and users excited about the product and the product usage. It's an ongoing journey. It's nothing that will happen just one point in time. You have an excited customer and then you can say, okay, fine, I did my job, I can move on. No, it's an ongoing journey. And exactly this journey is something I want to talk about today. Building products is building experience. And we all know this. It's mainly about digital products today, but also if you're looking at physical products or at my Adidas shoes, these are also products. These products try to build experiences. And now the question, what products keeps you hooked? So which products you know that keep you hooked? And think about this question for yourself. And I would guess that the first product you're thinking about are positive experiences. But there's also, as we experienced right now with Microsoft Teams, and I think Microsoft Teams is a good example for not always positive experiences in product usage, but in the end, it's products keep us building experiences and keep us hooked also with negative experience, because we have to use them on a daily basis. So it's always good to build products that keep positive emotions up. What is experience? And I think that's the first point where I want to start about what is experience about. And experience for me, and it's a way of communication, because products are a way of communication. Every product is a communication we do to the market, to the customer, to the user, to all the different people that are using these products. And if a product is already communication, there are these communication axioms from Paul Watzlawick. There can be no communication. And if we transform this for products, we will end up with there can be no experience, because you cannot have no experience. Even if it's a worse experience, you will have an experience all the time if you're using a product. And that's exactly what we as product people need to take care about, because we create products and you just use them. And we are responsible also for their experience at this point in time. So we need to take care of the experience that we create. Let's quickly look at what experience is. We have experience, then we're having the product experience, because normally when we talk about products, we always talk about user experience. So this is the only part we are talking about, but it's way more, because we have the product experience, and the product experience is way more than just the user experience. We're having also the customer experience, because there are two different parts. We're having users and customers. Going back to Microsoft Teams, because it's a good example for this differentiation between user and customers. The customers of Microsoft Teams are IT departments, are CTOs. The users are all of us. So in the end, it's two ways. It's a different experience. For the experience for a CTO that tries to implement Microsoft Teams, it's way more about how can it be integrated in the whole ecosystem. It was a smart move by Microsoft to offering Teams for free at the start. So every CTO was like, hey, great tool, we should use this because it's free. Then it was integrated, then they charge it. But it's great. It's a great customer experience. The user experience is the experience we have when you have the daily usage with these products. So this is already the first part we need to take care of. And because when we're talking about product, we're talking about both dimensions, not only about the user. So user experience, then you can move on, usability, UI, accessibility, all the other tasks, but also for the customer, you're having a sales experience, you're having marketing experience, you're having also brand experience. You can extend this picture all over. But what I wanted to bring up is that product experience is more than just user experience and just more than UI, because most of the time we're talking about user experience or product experience, all of these, we need to have some nice designs. So it's more. It's way more. Okay, so now how to build products that keep us hooked, or users are hooked. There are two ingredients I would like to introduce. One of them is jobs to be done. Jobs to be done is nothing new. It's something that is really, I think, from the early 90s already. Clayton and Christensen brought up this theory of jobs to be done, especially I like the Clayton Christensen theory because it's jobs as progress. We will talk about progress a lot later. And so it's about jobs to be done. The question is always about what job did you hire the product for? And this is already a very crucial question, because if we are looking at these smartphones, Björn just hired his smartphone for taking a picture. I see nobody hired his smartphone currently for scrolling the internet. That's cool. Thank you for that. Martin, you are doing. But what I want to say is we are hiring these products for many different usages. We want to use it as a flashlight in the night because we're getting home drunk and we need to don't fall over. Or we would use it to call our parents very easily. Many different jobs. And we're using the same product. So the question is always, what job are you hiring the product for? Most of the time, it's about overcoming a problem or an obstacle. If I want to call my mom, or if I want to speak to my mom, that's more the problem, or I need to speak to my mom, I will hire my phone. If I want to send her a message as well. If I want to send her an email, maybe my computer. So it's very different. So jobs to be done having 2 dimensions. And one dimension is very functional. It's about, we need to have, if I use this phone or if I wear the shoes and they're not protecting my feet, something is wrong. If I'm running, if I'm a soccer player, I need special shoes. This is a functional requirement. This needs to be fulfilled all the time. If our smartphone is not able to make calls, we are lost. It's not functional at all. But another dimension that is very important and that often gets ignored is the emotional dimension. And now we come to this Run DMC and Adidas story, because there is this emotional dimension also about these shoes. I wear these shoes, yeah, that's one thing. But also in, I think 1986, Run DMC had a song called My Adidas. And Adidas' first intention was, that's an urban myth, somebody maybe can confirm, was more like, maybe we should sue them. That's not a good idea. We should sue them. And then they flew in one executive from Adidas to a concert in the Madison Square Garden. And suddenly, during playing the songs, 40,000 people taking off their Adidas shoes and were waving them in the air. And this was like, oh my God, then this executive flies over to Herzogenaurach, and the first 2 questions he was getting asked was, what the hell is hip hop and what is Run DMC? But in the end, it ended up like this. It's an emotional dimension. So when we are creating products and experiences, we're having this functional part. And if we're not taking care of this functional part, nobody will use this product. But you also have this emotional part. And this emotional part is very, very different. And especially in the consumer part, it's very difficult because very different consumers having different requirements. And there are many examples for these different dimensions of jobs to be done. Another examples are headphones. So if you're looking at, if you're more the audiophile guy, you're having AKG headphones. And if you're more the trendy guy, you're having the Beats by Dr. Dre. So it's more like these dimensions. So products are also carrying some emotional parts, and that's also part of this experience, the overall experience, and keeping users hooked. So in the end, products are getting hired for progress, because all what we do, we're hiring this product for doing progress. And that's the very special part about these jobs to be done theory from Clayton and Christensen, because there's also jobs as activities, but we are talking about progress. I will introduce a mental model later, how this progress can be captured in a better way, because it sounds a little bit strange. What is progress about? But there's also one example from the automotive industry by the brand name already. If you're having Volkswagen, you're having Das Auto. That was the claim for a long time. That was already a solution. BMW was more like into, we are creating mobility. So mobility is not stick to a solution. Mobility can be car sharing, a bicycle, motorbikes, whatever. It's not about the solution. But all these is about progress. I want to get from place A to place B. I don't care about the solution at this time. In the end, I just want to make this progress. And this is also the progress users want to make. If I buy a pair of shoes, I want to use them for a special reason. If this is not happening, I will not get into this progress. Progress is cascading. I will get through this, what this means in more detail, because we're always having progress on 2 levels. And because products are living on 2 dimensions, we're having the consumer, the customer, and we are having the business. So if we are looking at products, these 2 dimensions, we're having consumers, customers. So first of all, the customer needs to make a progress. And if the customer can make progress, then we as business can make progress. So it's a concept that is somehow, if we are not enabling progress for customers, we as business also will not make progress. Maybe once a time the user buys the product and will never come back. Not the best way. So these two dimensions of a product are very important to consider. And also of the progress. So if progress as a cascading concept, you're having first the customer progress, then you're having the business progress, or even if you're having customers, consumers, you can build this up in a cascade overall. So it's always about this progress. Products are the vehicle for the value exchange in these progresses, because I build value for the customer gives value back. So the product is just the thing in between that is more like this vehicle traveling on the progress and making the value exchange possible. Now, making this progress a little bit more feasible. Talking about heroes, and that's maybe also something what is very human. We like to tell stories. Storytelling is a human bias, so we are telling stories, and we are telling stories in a very similar way all the time. We are always talking about some superpowers because we have achieved something, and then we're having done something great. If you talked about your last vacation, you will not talk about the great things all the time. You will more talk about the little problems that you overcome and what was really the adventure in this, on this road track. Superpowers are the enablers. But I want to get to this picture, the hero's journey. That's what I want to go though. So the hero's journey is the way we tell stories. We are always starting in a way telling stories like this. The hero's journey has way more stations, but if we look at products, I think there are only these 4 very important parts. We're having the ordinary world, so we are somewhere right now. We're having a challenge, the solution, and then we will end up in a better world. We will go through this in detail. The ordinary world. So this is the world the customer is currently in. It's somehow a mixture, a little bit of empathy maps and a little bit of hero's journeys, and it's something I created for a customer in the consumer product market because it's very interesting to really look about these progress and capture these in a way of heroes. So the ordinary world is the situation the customer is currently in. At this time, it was for a hotel chain. So ordinary world was more like, okay, I'm stuck in a business meeting and I need to make sure that I get my room on time because I need to check in till a certain time. And some hotels, this is still how it works. So I try to imagine the situation the user is stuck into. So what does the user see? What does the user hear? What are these feelings? Then the challenge will pop up. Did I get my room? Do I have a place to sleep at night? So the challenge is, what is the user thinking? So what could I do? Do I get a bed at night? And all these topics I talked about. Possible solutions. And this is exactly the solution area. And that's the interesting part, because you are starting in the problem area. You're not talking about solutions. The solutions is later, because like I said in this example from BMW, I don't care how I get from A to B. I just want to end up in point B. So I want to end up, want to find possible ideas, solutions that can enable these progress to overcome the challenge and to end up finally in a better world. The better world also is from a consumer or a customer perspective the same. I want to be in my hotel room. I want to have a bed at night. I'm seeing the TV is still on, and I hear nothing because it's quite great, and I feel happy. So that's exactly where I want to be. And the good thing about this hero journey is that you can tell it in all directions. So you can also start imagine the better world for your customer, and then work backwards. So it's really something you can build up progresses and user experiences in a very easy way, because it's just another picture or a mental model of how to think about progress. The progress that jobs to be done trying to capture. The main goal is to focus, like I already said, on problems, not on solutions. Because too many times we are already talking about solutions. So I just remember one colleague showing up last week to me regarding some new topics also regarding to AI. Hey, Steffen, I found a solution. I'm looking for a problem. I was like, nah, maybe that's not the way how it should go. Maybe we should start with a problem before we talk about solutions. And that's exactly what these jobs to be done and all these progress is about. It's not about building solutions that nobody uses. It's about building solutions that overcome problems and that enabling these progress. The second part, like I said, 2 ingredients, jobs to be done. One part, hooked. When you're able, also a little bit an older framework, but it's also very interesting, is about how to keep users hooked in experiences. And that's where we get close, because this is always about progress. So Hooked has 4 different pillars. So first of all is the trigger. Triggers are divided in internal and external triggers. So internal triggers, I need a new pair of shoes because the old are broken. External triggers could be, I like your shoes, I want to have these shoes as well. One functional trigger, one emotional trigger. External triggers are most of the time more a little bit emotional on this emotional perspective, but also it's about the trigger, something that triggers the user to use a product. The action is usage. So interacting with the product or with a part of the product, because it's not about talking about the whole product. It's something also like these connecting these steps. Reward. I have a pair of shoes. I have the same shoes as Ben. I'm very happy because these are cool. Or I having shoes and I don't hurt my feet anymore. Also great. So I'm getting a reward. And this reward will bring me then to the last step. I will invest. I will invest in this product. I will buy a new pair of shoes and I will be hooked by the experience of these usage because I had a positive outcome. It's very important that there's a positive outcome. So no reward, no invest. No usage for the user. The user will not invest further in the product. And that's very important. Now we have these hooked loop more or less outlined. So we're having these trigger, action, reward, invest. But if we are looking now at products that are bigger, especially digital products or mobile apps, we want to get into a connection and we want to build more of these loops because we want to hook the consumer in our product, in our app. So we need to have these all connected. So we're having always these loop. If you sign up for something to sign up for some app, then you're doing the action of sign up, you get a reward because you're having some functionality or you're having made some progress already. Then you will invest more time in using this app and it starts over. A few years ago, I did this for a banking app, and it was like we built some superpowers because we already used these two models somehow connected. We built superpowers for our users. These superpowers were, for example, a financial airbag. So you want to have a financial airbag. You want to make sure that you have some money in the background if something goes wrong. What we first did is, okay, we need another superpower first. You need to first see how you spend your money. So we just need to have a financial X-ray. That was then the first superpower. This financial X-ray, when you understand that you're having some money over at the end of the month, will lead to, okay, you can now build up your financial airbag. So it's always about hooking these experiences together and to create a whole holistic product experience that keeps the user inside the app, inside the product for a very long time. It's a collection of progress. I'm making progress. I first understand my financial situation. I understand what I can save money, how much money I can save. I can then understand how I can save this money, and then I can understand how I can later spend the saved money. So it's always these progresses that I can make as a customer, and these are connected. And these two parts of jobs to be done and the hooked framework can help to build up this connection and to create these experiences because it's two very simple models that everybody understands. Superpowers and some kind of addiction. That's leading me to another last part of these two components because as product people, we are responsible for value and harm, and we need to be careful what we build. That's at least my personal opinion on this one. If we look at patterns of addiction, they follow exact the same pattern. Trigger, action, reward. That's all how we humans work and how human addictions work. And if you think about doom scrolling, we know this. Exactly, because this is really these trigger, okay, one more picture, action, oh, this is a nice picture, reward, okay, and moving on, keeping hooked in an app for infinity. If it's a good or bad experience, we are not sure. I'm always thinking about now, have I wasted 30 minutes of my lifetime with doom scrolling some apps, Instagram, whatever? Yeah, it's a waste of time. But it's the same thing. And we need to be careful when we're building products because we want to create useful experiences and not addictive experiences. The key behind all this is dopamine. I just want to bring this in because it's always these trigger action reward. The reward is always in our brain. It's dopamine. And if you're scrolling, doom scrolling, it's like dopamine, 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 dopamine. If you are a smoker, you cannot smoke so much cigarettes in this as amount of time. Like your brain wants to get this dopamine all the time. So that's dangerous. So that's just something I also wanted to bring into, because it sounds like, okay, now let's create addictive products for all our customers. That's not the goal. It's about experience, and experience should be good or not harmful. And yeah, this is already more or less the conclusion and the thing where I want to keep. I want to say we're responsible for creating useful products and not addictive ones. Keep this in mind. Thank you already. No, thank you now.